Most players think they're improving because they're playing more matches, hours, exposure, but improvement doesn't come from repetition alone. It comes from sitting with decisions long enough to understand them. And modern fighting games quietly remove that requirement. The illusion of learning comes from activity without consequence. Lose a round, a match, you queue again, nothing forces you to reflect or commitment to a mistake, and you're not forced to carry the weight of that decision forward. So the brain never completes the learning loop. You feel like you're practicing, but you're mostly just resetting. Rank modes feel serious. There's a number, there's progression, there's something to protect, but rank also offers infinite escape. If something fails, you don't have to understand why it failed. You only have to survive long enough to try something else. Lose neutral, queue again. Guess wrong, queue again. Panic decision, queue again. The system absorbs the consequence for you, and because the system absorbs it, you don't. Tournament losses feel different though. Not because the opponent was stronger, but because you're forced to sit with the loss. There's no immediate rematch, especially if you get knocked out a loser and it's over with. There's no quick redemption, no reset button. You leave the setup with the decision still unresolved. Even online, you can't queue up and play that person again. So you replay the moment in your head. Why did I press there? Why did I move? Why did I hesitate? Why didn't that option feel safe when it wasn't? That discomfort is not emotional weakness. It's cognitive pressure completing the learning cycle. The brain is finally forced to reconcile intent with outcome. That's why one tournament loss can produce more growth than 50 ranked games. Learning does not happen at the moment of failure, it happens after, when the brain is forced to make sense of the failure. If the consequence disappears too quickly, the brain discards the event as noise. Modern systems are very good at eliminating consequence. Fast queues, instant rematches, rank installation, matchmaking buffers, all of it protects the player. And in doing so, it slows real development. Modern games now offer replay takeover, and on the surface, this looks like progress. You can rewind, you can take control, you can test alternatives, but replay takeover often completes the illusion instead of breaking it. Because the environment is artificial, there's no pressure, no risk, no cost. You try the correct option in isolation, but the mental state that produced the mistake is gone. No hesitation, the fear, the urgency, the fatigue are all removed. So the lesson becomes mechanical, not situational. You learn what to do, but not why you didn't do it. And knowing the correct response is not the same as learning. Learning is understanding why the wrong choice felt right, why the timing felt urgent, why hesitation appeared in that moment. Replay takeover skips this step. It replaces introspection with correction. Correction feels productive. Introspection feels uncomfortable because only one produces growth. Modern fighting games are fast, high damage, explosive momentum, constant interaction. Speed creates stimulation, stimulation creates engagement, engagement creates the illusion of progress, but speed also prevents resolution. Decisions stack faster than they can be processed, so players accumulate experience without accumulating understanding. They know what happened, but not what changed. At a certain point, players stop improving not because they lack talent, but because they stop completing feedback loops. They play more, they analyze less, they change options faster, and they reflect slower. They confuse variety with adaptation, and adaptation without understanding is just movement. Real learning is slow, it's uncomfortable, it's repetitive, it's boring to watch. It looks like you're revisiting the same situation all the time and resisting the urge to move on, hold one decision long enough to understand its failure. It feels inefficient, but it compounds. This is why strong players often appear patient. They're not slow, they're resolved. Because it feels like stagnation, no visible progress, no new tech, no flashy improvement, just awareness. And awareness is quiet, but awareness is what turns experience into leverage. Every time you queue immediately, you teach your brain that outcomes are disposable. Disposable outcomes don't demand meaning, Meaning is where learning lives. The illusion of learning thrives when consequence disappears quickly. You're never forced to sit with a decision long enough to understand why it failed. Until you are, progress will feel real without being durable. Improvement doesn't come from playing more, it comes from staying with fewer decisions longer.